Okay, today I'm going to rant about how I made it to day 50 of eating no junk food, including sugary foods, salty foods, literally anything you consider junk food, and just eating the basics. I will say this is kind of a complex topic, but I would say I tried a lot of things like cutting down junk food slowly, but the thing about junk food is that it's hard to cut down slowly. And what I mean by cutting down slowly is going at a pace where it is only a slight inconvenience to do so. The problem with junk food is it's so dynamic that cutting down slowly, that strategy that I would usually recommend for fighting addictions. Like, for example, a couple of years ago, I had a video game addiction, and the way I beat that was just slowly play less games at a rate where I didn't even notice. And all of a sudden, I didn't have an addiction anymore. But with junk food, that just doesn't work because it's so dynamic. There's so many different types of junk foods. It's not as simple as just cutting down. So really, the thing that worked for me was this one framework that I followed by the psychiatrist Healthy Gamer GG. And he has a 3 hour lecture on YouTube. Okay, I just fell through this. He's a 3 hour lecture on YouTube, and I just watched the entire lecture. And I can, I'll link it in the bio of this YouTube video or the description of this YouTube video. But basically, all I did was just follow that because I knew that if cutting down slowly was not the answer. Oh, wow. Okay. I did not expect that to happen. Yo, we're running all of a sudden. Hold on. A break from. Let me get my. Okay. So, I think what it comes down to is understanding why you need to quit. And I really haven't articulated this properly for myself, but it's something along the lines of knowing that you want to live the best life you can possible. Being addicted to junk food is not going to do you any good. For me, is he really chasing me? Dude, he is huffing and puffing to go. Oh my god. No way he got me, bro. Okay, I expected this to be a chill thing, but I guess not. So, again, let me just get through this because I don't want to let you guys, off the hook. I think it's really about the reasoning of, do you want to live the best life you can? Right? We're only here for a short period of time. Why wouldn't you want to make your life more enjoyable and more meaningful? And so that was my motivation for quitting junk food because I used junk food, and the reason it's an addiction is because I used it to mask hobbies. I didn't allow myself to get bored. I would just eat the junk food, right? And I wouldn't have to deal with boredom. And of course, it would come back to bite me later, but I didn't have to deal with it for that moment. And also, I would just stuff my face with sugar, with salty stuff. And realistically, how long can you live like that? If you understand that life is short and you should live it the best you can, and I don't see why you would self-sabotage and not improve yourself, right? And so for me, it was always about, okay, well, how do I get this done? You know, it's the best for me. It's the obvious choice. How do I get this done? And then there came the other advice, which I'm about to get into now. Now, I recommend you just go watch the 3 or so hour lecture on addiction so you could really get a good sense of what it takes. But it is cutting cold turkey. It's setting defined rules in place. You know, there's a lot of steps. There's a lot of steps before you quit the addiction. But once you put in those steps and then you just commit, and once you commit, it is going to be hard. But I will say, after a 6 year addiction, it is not as hard as you think. Once you realize that there's no choice because you have a choice between living a hard life and living an easier life. And I call getting over the addiction a necessary step to live that easier life. A life that's going to be more full. A life that's going to be, again, yeah, more full. Actually filled with less boredom. When I was addicted to, let's just go here for a quick because I'm scared. When I was addicted to junk food, um, there you go. When I was addicted to junk food, the entire day I was bored, right? It's like boredom for the entire day. It is miserable, right? And now that I don't eat any junk food, I at least have one of my hobbies back, which is basketball. And so for 1 hour, or even sometimes I get the courage to play with other people and I'll play for 2, 3 hours. I have a hobby back. I did not have this hobby. So I am in less pain now. Sure, the first, I would say, 30 days were miserable. But now I'm in a place where life is easier than when I ate junk food. So, yeah, I really recommend you go and just watch that lecture and follow everything that his name's Dr. K. Everything that he says, just follow it because what other choice do you have? You know, hopefully you understand the importance of why you want to get rid of the addiction, and in this case, junk food addiction, because I would have different advice if you said, Carrie, I have video game addiction, or Carrie, I have phone addiction. I think you are able to overcome that with slowly cutting down. But in the case of junk food addiction, I think you do need to operate a different framework and then just realize that you really have no other choice because if you if you quit, then you're just choosing a harder life. I don't understand how that could be, and that's what I understood is that's why even on even when it got hard, I just knew that there was no way I'm quitting because I couldn't find a reason to why I would quit. And so I really felt like that was the key to make sure that I was going to be fine and I was going to get through it. So yeah, the link is going to be in the description. This is not sponsored. This is not anything. He really had the answer and there really is no other method. Sure, there is the cutting down method, but I tried that method for months and months and months because the cutting down slowly method I used to build so many of my habits. So many, all of them. I thought that was the only method that worked. But after failing a lot of time is because slowly cutting down is so complex for, in the case of junk food, I had to use a different method. And yeah, I don't even think it was the Dr. K's method that worked. If you had to ask me honestly, I think it's the fact that I had to make it work because there was no other choice. There was no other method. There was no methods left. You know, I think if you have this thought in your mind that you could just lock in, then that's kind of what I did, but not with the mindset of I'm just going to lock in. You can't give yourself any outs. You can't give yourself any, like, part of his framework is to identify justifications that you're going to give yourself to relapse. And personally, all those options have been gone through already. Like there were no justifications left. I mean, so my advice I would give you is that truly there is no easy way to do this. The only way is just what he says in the video. If you watch the lecture that he provides, trust me, do not go down the 2 year long path of trying to justify your way out of fixing it. The only way you will fix it is if you truly just commit. And I wish I could explain that better, but you have to realize you have no choice. There's no choice. You have to understand that if you want an easier, more meaningful life, it's going to be one without addiction, because addiction makes your life really hard. And so to achieve that result, you have to do what it takes, and the video in the description is what it takes. And I guess I can try and think through, because realistically, what I'm thinking, if you're watching this, is you're gonna find a justification to quit, and so you're just gonna have to go through those motions. So I think addiction does just take its course, but if you're committed and if you really want it to change, then it could change. And you have to make it change, because then you're just sabotaging yourself. And it's not as hard as you think. So that's all I have for how I made it to day 50 of junk food addiction. And I wish I could just take everyone watching this and fix it for you, but they're 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 I can't do that, you know. I struggled with it for so long, and yeah, it's tough, but maybe I could visualize a scenario for you. It's a really cool area where, I mean, I still on day 50, I still think of junk food almost every day, single day, wanting it, but it's not this deep need for it. I'm not dependent on it anymore because I don't eat it. So my life is going in the right direction, and there's so much more I need to work on, but it was definitely the right step to take. So I recommend all of you going on this path of self-improvement, of fixing your life, getting the things that are bothering you, that are making your life worse. And we all know those things. We all know those things that we shouldn't be doing. You know, for me, it's being addicted to social media, being addicted to junk food, not putting on, even stuff like not putting on sunscreen is sabotaging you because you can get skin cancer. It's all these things that you could optimize that will just, oh wow, that will make your life easier to deal with. And I guess that's all we really want, right? Is our life to be easier to deal with. And again, that's not everything life is about. Life is also about, you know, doing the things you've always wanted to do. This video is more focusing on how to reduce the suffering of life, but we also need the things that are gonna enrich our life. So that could maybe be another topic, but yeah, that's all I got. If you have any questions in the comment section, I'm always here to help. Again, I'm not a mental health professional or anything. This is just my opinion, but I do encourage you to watch the video in the description because it is what really brought me out of the rut that I was in. Thank you for watching.